Hi, this is Jim Goodman, and I'd like to welcome you to 10 Wheel Adventures. Now this week, Belinda and I traveled from Southern California along Interstate 8, and we passed through the Imperial Sand Dunes National Recreation Area and saw hundreds of ATVs buzzing up and down the dunes. It wasn't much longer until we crossed into Arizona at Yuma, Arizona. About 2 hours further east, we came to the town of Gila Bend, and we turned south on Highway 86. Now this led us through the desert to a little town called Ajo, Arizona. Now we were staying this week at the Ajo Heights RV park, and I have to say it's a great place to stay, and I'd highly recommend it. The owner was very friendly, the park was super clean, the landscaping was great, all the services worked well, the guests were really friendly. We had a great time socializing there. The owner had arranged the different areas of the park using different colors and sizes of gravel, as you can see from this aerial shot. The next day we decided to explore the desert a little bit. So we headed south out of Ajo on Highway 86, and we turned right on Darby Wells Road. Now this leads you to a little scenic loop that's about 14 miles long and kind of meanders around the backside of Ajo. One of the more interesting sites along this was the Darby Wells Cemetery. It's a cemetery that's been used by the locals since the 1800s. We decided to stop and pay our respect. Now while driving the scenic loop, I saw so many huge peaks, giant granite domes, tumbles of boulders in every direction. I had to get the drone out and check out the aerial view. I really had a great time flying out here. It was so much fun. The Sonoran Desert is home to all kinds of wildlife. Now we didn't see a lot, just a few lizards and some birds, but we did find out that if you would like to view the wildlife, you need to find a watering hole and stake it out during the morning or evening hours. While I was getting my drone fixed, we ran across an abandoned mine. This was just a hole in the ground, maybe 25, 30 feet deep, 10 or 15 feet in diameter, with a fence around it and a sign saying, "Stay back." So we did. On the right, you'll see an organ pipe cactus, and they're all over the place out here. Well, we're very near the Organ Pipe Cactus National Monument. On the left is an octillo. It is not a cactus, but a plant, but it is also covered in thorns, just like everything else out here. Due to FAA regulations for recreational drones, I was limited to 400 feet in height from the point at where I take off. So, to get to the top of the peaks that I wanted to photograph, we had to hike up several of these granite domes to get the elevation we needed. Back in Ajo, I went to one of the city parks and flew the drone to get some idea how the town was laid out. Now this is a mining town. The mine opened as a pit mine in 1916, so the town has been in development since then. The mine closed in 1984, so the town has really been in decline. Right now there's probably less than 3,000 permanent residents living here, and probably another 1,000 to 2,000 of snowbirds who will come in for the winter months and stay here. Some own property, some stay in RVs. Now we found some of the homes built into the hills to be quite beautiful. There were some for sale and at very reasonable prices for what they were. Being a mining town, during the early years the mine would build houses for the miners, and several of those are in use today. The citizens have taken their art and displayed them and made them quite lovely, very artistic and very colorful. There is an artist institute here called the Curly Art Institute, and I'm sure that's where some of this local talent has come from. We decided to get the Pedigo electric bikes out and tour the town. We have such fun riding these things. Really glad we got them. Now they'll do about 25 miles per hour on level ground. But to make it even more exciting, I found myself a great hill here. And as I was heading down, I reached speeds of about 30 miles per hour. It was exciting. Now, to pick up that excitement level even more, all you need to do is transition from blacktop onto a gravel road. Now, back in the day, this was the St. Catherine's Indian Mission, and it was a school and church for the Indian miners and their families. These concrete pads you see around here were the pads for the homes that the mine had built for the Indian workers. This was a very segregated community, and the whites, the Mexicans, and the Indians all had separate areas of towns that they were allowed to live in. Now, this is the Ajo open pit mine, and it's about 1.5 miles across at the top, and it's 1,100 feet deep. The water you see in the bottom is the actual water table for the desert, so it is quite deep. In its prime, there were 1,000 men working in the mine, and 6.3 billion pounds of copper were brought from it. I was very fortunate that Bob and Dee were working at the visitor center of the mine. Bob told me all kinds of stories about the 40 years he spent working for the mine. A very interesting man. Now, he told me this huge gray pile out here is the tailings, or the leftovers after they removed the minerals from the ore. We really enjoyed our time here in Ajo, and would definitely come back again, and highly recommend it to you as well. And until our next video, we wish you safe travels.